Everyone, in this video, I'm going to go over the lab report, and I'm going to also talk about how to set up the lab notebook so that you are ready before you come to the lab. The lab report can be broken down into 3 sections. One is the pre-lab, and then the second one is the in-lab, and the last one is the post-lab. Okay, so the pre-lab is the section that you will need to set up ahead of time. Okay, so before you come to the lab, you need to have this pre-lab ready to be checked by your lab instructor. This is the only section that you will need to type up. Okay, so the remaining you need to write out. Okay, so except the result, if you want to type up the result, that is fine with me as well. Next, I'm going to break this down into each section. Okay, so here is what your lab notebook will compose of. Okay, so there will be section 1 to 11. Okay, so when I grade your lab report, I'm going to grade based on all of this section. Okay, so you should check the rubric ahead of time to make sure that you have all of these sections, so that way you earn as many points as possible. Okay, so here are the 7 sections that you need to complete before you come to the lab. Okay, so these sections is what we call pre-lab. Okay, so you need to have the lab notebook set up, including all these 7 sections. Okay. So I would like to talk a little bit about the pre-lab. Okay, so just note that the pre-lab will need to be completed on the lab notebook. Okay, so an actual lab notebook. So this is an example of the lab notebook. Okay, so it contains carbon-less carbon copy. Okay, so if you're looking at this, okay, so you should see 2 things. Okay, so one is the original copy and the other one is the carbon copies. If you write on this, it's going to transcribe into this page as well. So that means every time when you are going to start a new page, make sure that you use the cardboard, okay, to be on the back before you write it. So that way it doesn't transfer into the following pages. Okay, so make sure as well that the carbon-less copy will be behind that as well. Okay, so you should end up having 2 copies. Okay, so one is the original and the other is the carbon copy. Okay, so again, you need to get this set up ahead of time, and I'm going to initial your lab notebook before you start doing the lab. Okay, and for section 7 and 8, so these 2 sections here, you are going to end up doing in the lab as well. Most of the time, you will have enough time to complete the calculation in lab. Okay, so you're going to complete these 2 in lab, and before you leave, your lab instructor will initial your lab notebook before you leave. And then at home, okay, so you can then complete a section 9 to 11. Sometimes you might have time to complete a result in lab as well. So therefore, you can either write the result, use the handwritten, or you can actually type it up. Okay, so that's up to you. But anyway, so these, at least the last 2 sections need to be typed up. Okay, so the discussion, conclusion, and supplementary problems. Okay, so together all of these is what we call lab report. Okay, so lab report composed of 3 sections. Okay, so again, pre-lab, in-lab, and the post-lab. A quick reminder, you will need at least 70% of the lab grade, okay, to pass the course. Okay, so even though you're earning an A in on all the exam, right? But if you are earning below 70% of the lab, you are going to end up failing the course. Now I'm going to show you how I set up my pre-lab in my lab notebook manual. So this is how you are going to access the lab manual. Okay, so I'm going to click on that. Remember, we have 7 sections that we need to set up ahead of time, right? As part of the pre-lab. So I'm going to bring up my lab notebook, and I'm going to start working on those 7 sections. All right, this is an example of how I set up my lab notebook. Okay, so again, you need to complete all of this information first. Okay, so and then section 1. So section 1 is talk about objectives of the experiment, right? So how can you find out the purpose or objective? Okay, so this is when you will need to go to the manual, read the introduction. The introduction will help you answer the pre-lab questions and also understand the lab better as well. Like, what are we going to do and what is the theory behind that? This introduction will also help you to write out the theory part of the post-lab as well. Okay, so once you read through this, you will see the learning outcome. So pretty much this is going to be your objective right here. Okay, so this is going to be the purpose of the experiment. Okay, and so here I already copy that down here, right? So I wrote that down. And then section 2 is the pre-lab questions. Okay, so the pre-lab question can be found in the lab manual as well. So it's right here. Okay, so you can go ahead and answer this, or you can also watch the pre-lab video. Okay, so the pre-lab video will help you answer the pre-lab question as well. Okay, so how can you find out pre-lab video? Okay, so this is when you go back to the information about the lab. Okay, so which is the lab to-do list. The pre-lab video will be right here. Okay, so if you click on this, the pre-lab video will help you to pretty much answer all the pre-lab questions. Next section is the experimental procedure. If you scroll down the lab manual, you will see this section right here. Okay, so what I would like you to do is I would like you to pretty much make either diagram or figures, right, to pretty much draw out step by step, right? So what do you understand, right? So from like reading this instruction, right? So for example, like I read this, right? So obtain beaker and add blah, blah. So what I get from here is that, oh, step one, right? So I just draw the beaker, right? So this is going to contain seawater. Step one, add indicator, make observation, right? And then blow bubbles and read pH, for example. So you don't need to write out every single word from the experimental procedure. Okay, so that's going to waste your time. Okay, so I want you to summarize and write out in your own word. Okay, because you're going to have access to that procedure in lab anyways. Okay, so the reason why you still need to write out is just because that I would like you to be familiar with what chemicals you will need to use in the lab and what are the steps that you will need to take, right, in order to make your work in lab to be more efficient and also safe as well for yourself and also for people around you. And then same thing for part C and D. If it's the same as the previous step, I can just say that, okay, like do it the same as the previous step, right? And then for the next section is the safety information. So in this case, if you want to find out safety information, you might have to scroll up here. So this is the safety information. So it asks you to look up the SDS, right, for an address safety precaution for all of this. So I'm going to have to look up one by one. Okay, so in order for me to do this, I will need to pretty much, so let's do the first one, HCl. Okay, so I'm going to go to Google and I'm going to search for SDS HCl. Okay, so and then you search. Two sites that I like to look up the SDS of the chemical from are, one is the Fisher Scientific, the other one is Sigma Aldrich. It doesn't matter which one it is. It's going to give you exactly the same identical information. Okay, so I'm just going to click on the first one. Okay, so you are going to look for these hazard statements right here. Okay, so that's going to be the one that you are going to copy down into your lab notebook. Okay, so you're going to, for example, HCl cause severe skin burns and eye damage, may cause respiratory irritation. So I will write that down. Okay, so same thing for the remaining of the chemical as well. Okay, and then you are going to read the precautionary statement. Okay, so this is, you are going to read it out and kind of like summarize this. So pretty much what I get it from here is that for pretty much all chemicals, you will need to wear goggles at all time and wear gloves when handling these chemicals, right? So I kind of like summarize the precaution statement there. Okay, so but this is going to be, you need to do this for every single chemicals you need to handle in lab. After you're done with the safety and address all of those chemicals, the next thing is you are going to address the waste disposal as well. So pretty much for this one, it said dispose chemical waste in designated waste container in a film hood. So pretty much copy that and then write down into this. Next section is the chemical equations. Okay, so sometimes the chemical equation might be straightforward. You might be able to write out on your own. But if you can't, most of the time the chemical equation will be included in the pre-lab video. Okay, so you can actually watch the pre-lab video for that lab. Okay, so to help you write out the chemical equation. Last section that you need to set up ahead of time is the data section. Okay, so pretty much this section right here, you are going to copy these data tables from the lab manual and put it in your lab notebook. Okay, so this is going to be something that you are going to jot down when you are going to do the lab, right? While you're doing the lab, you are going to collect this data. Okay, so that's it. So up to this point, this is going to be part of your pre-lab assignment that you need to bring into the lab. Now in lab, you are going to collect the data here and also you will complete the calculation as well. Okay. And for the result, if time permit, you can also complete the result in lab as well. If not, then you can finish it at home. Okay, so you have two options for the result, as I mentioned earlier. Okay, so you can either type up this section or you can just do a handwrite of this section. Just make sure that you include all the result table as well. Okay, so for the discussion, conclusion, and supplementary question, okay, so these two sections you will definitely have to type up. In order for you to type up the discussion and conclusion correctly, I have the guideline for that as well. The lab to-do list will give you all the information that you need, okay, so including how to write up the lab report as well, okay, so I'm just going to walk you through this sheet one more time, okay, so again, this is where you can access the manual, this is where you can access the pre-lab video. it also remind you as well how to set up the lab notebook and also the pre-lab assignment, right? Giving you the lab report format. Okay, so and then it will give you as well what you expect in terms of what to bring to the lab on that day, right? So and what you should expect for the lab on that day. Okay, so if you're looking, if you scroll down, okay, so after lab, okay, so this is where you can find the guideline of the post lab type up. Okay, so this is the guideline of what you have to do in terms of how to write up the proper lab report. Okay, so it will give you all of that information already. And for you to earn as many points as possible, you will need to check your lab report against the rubric, okay, before you turn it in. Okay, so for example, in this case, right, so after you finish the lab report for lab 2, before you turn it in, okay, so you need to click on this grading rubric right here and make sure that you have all of this section. Okay, so if you include all of this section, okay, so you are going to at least get 70% of the point for the lab report for sure. Okay, so just make sure you include all of this. Okay. Okay, final reminder, you will need to complete the pre-lab before you come to the lab. Okay, so the pre-lab 1 is only asking you to watch the video, which is this video. And for the pre-lab 2, you will need to set up the lab notebook as I mentioned previously.